This is the Balanced Advisor Podcast with Dr. Travis Perry, helping financial advisors like you achieve balance in their lives.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Balanced Advisor Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Perry. Today, I'm joined with Keena Pettijohn. Keena is so amazing. She's got great energy, but she's also the CEO and founder of the Lifelogixs consultancy group. It was founded on the tenets of health, wealth, and happiness, and dedicated to technological solutions that support financial wellness, financial health, and financial literacy. Welcome, Keena.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I'm humbled by this opportunity. I met you virtually, and then we made it tangible by you actually sending me your book, Achieving Balance. So we connected virtual to tactile, and I'm very, very impressed with the work that you do, Dr. Perry.
Thank you, Keena. I appreciate your availability and your willingness to share. I always like to ask guests, tell us just kind of quickly, how did you end up in this industry? There's no clear path. Nobody ever has, like, I did this, this, and this. But, give us a little bit of your history and how you got to where you are today.
Well, keep in mind that I started in this industry more than 3 decades ago. And at that point, a college degree would not secure a job. I walked into a job market and an economy that was double-digit inflation. Mortgages were at 14%. And despite the fact that I had a double major in the Bachelor of Arts as well as comparative literature, I couldn't find a job. So I decided I better be more educated. So I started to do work on my master's, and I went to my professor, Dr. Nestor, who's no longer with us, but he still burns in my brain. And I said to Ozzy, what industries do I need to go to? I need to make money. I couldn't make my $175 monthly rent. So he said to me, Keena, you need to look at petroleum, pharmaceuticals, and precious metals. I said, you got me on this one, Dr. Nestor. Looked in the Wall Street Journal. At that point, it was actually in print. You used to get all of the ink on your fingers. And I looked for a job. And there I saw a job as an assistant to a vice president with a firm that was called Citibank. And at that point, I wanted to get into Wall Street. I was hired, no experience necessary. He managed the positions, traded the markets. We did arbitrage, and I worked for him for about 6 years. And that was the way that I got into Wall Street.
That's really cool. And then from there, obviously, the things have just expounded and you've grown to help this industry. And I'm so grateful that you're here to give us some of your wisdom. 3 decades of experience, and, you're asked to speak, you're asked to be on panels. You're really all over the map here helping this industry. So thank you. The first thing I like to start off with is, well, what is your definition of balance? Like you've been to Wall Street and back. You're a CEO, of a tech company, a fintech company that's really helping this industry. But you've seen a lot. You've had great experience. What would you say is your definition of balance?
That's a great question, and I appreciate it. Although the research is showing that, we're at the worst level of financial literacy in a decade, as well as 33% of Americans are not healthy. When you are concerned, which is the number one concern about your own personal financial matters. So when you talk about balance, if you are stressed about your ability to budget, if you are stressed in your ability to save, if you are stressed that you really don't know what other options are available, whether it be banking or brokerage, that does not allow you in terms of psychological, emotional balance. People have a very unique relationship with their money. In fact, years ago, we just looked at an Excel spreadsheet. That's the way we defined money. But now in our world, it's not just a net worth number or reduced to a single digit credit score. It has to do with behavioral as well, where clients have an emotional relationship with their money. And having a focus on that, how do you feel, creates a better balance in terms of connectivity to the client, having those deeper conversations that strikes into personal satisfaction. And then it also becomes behavioral to the point of, do you have a plan? Are you funding retirement? Do you save money every month? And this is where balance starts to come into. It's not just your feeling as an individual, but are you comfortable? What keeps you up at night? And strangely enough, the research shows the number one stressor for 60% of all employees and workers are stressed about finances. And I think we need to address that to provide better balance and better education for them, Dr. Perry.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, this is research that I've explored a lot in my master's and my PhD. This stress about money, and it's a big deal even for advisors, and this audience of advisors who are trying to help their clients deal with this stress. They often have it as well, right? So as an advisor to other advisors, someone who has a great influence for advisors, what do you think are the biggest issues that you struggle with? You personally, people love when we pull back the curtain and be like, yeah, I've struggled with this and this, and really, become personal with it. So get personal on this. What has been your probably biggest struggle with balance?
Well, people always say it's a delicate balance, between building a business, and any advisor has a business, creating a plan that supports that business, staying to the plan that supports that business, being prepared for contingencies, whether it's self-imposed or the markets themselves. So I think that the greatest stressor is in building Lifelogixs is I had to clearly define who I was servicing, what the market that I was targeting, and most importantly, my unique value. What am I bringing to the table? Why should they work with Keena Pettijohn, founder of Lifelogixs? So one of the biggest challenges was developing that 2-minute condensed message. And I think from an advisor perspective, we, unfortunately, with all of the innovators and impactors, whether it's a neobank, whether it's another virtual offering, we become a commodity. And the most important thing that we can do, and then stress from my own business, is my unique value proposition. What is it that I bring to the table that distinguishes my business, my services, the way that I work with my customers? Clearly has to be defined. So I think, like myself, like an advisor, really know your market. Who are you serving? Make certain that you stay relevant and topical, whether it's automated content or your own created blogs. Make certain that you have a virtual persona. And in my own business, yes, I may have 30 years of background, but when I started my business, people again asked me, who are you? What do you do? How do you work with me? And what's the benefit of working with Lifelogixs? So that was a major epiphany for me as a sole practitioner and as an individual that is going into a highly competitive industry.
Yeah, and that is so true. I mean, it's competitive. You're trying to help, with accomplishing financial wellness and helping people being financial literate, which is a huge piece of the balance. So I know previously we talked about, your own personal life. We talked about maybe at the beginning when you were working there on Wall Street and you're working maybe too much. Like, what was the struggle back then when you got into the business? Tell us a little bit about maybe how things were then and what's changed.
Well, strange. I'm going to give you a personal story because I think people relate to it. And what was Wall Street like, and what amount of sacrifices I had to make, not only physically, mentally, but time-wise. So in Wall Street, you were asked to be at your desk at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And even when the markets closed, you were still responsible for reports, for activity, for balancing the firm's books, so to speak. And this is not necessarily a joke, but this really tells you how consumed I was in my business persona. And the joke was, I was with a very large firm for 12 years. And that completely occupied everything that I had. And I come home one day, and this is a true story, and I go, what's different in my house? And I'm there, it's late at night, and I'm walking around. I said, oh my gosh, his clothes are missing. My husband literally had moved out. And here is a occupation. And by the way, I had a W-2 that was very healthy. I had tremendous executive privileges, whether it would be an executive car, executive expenses. But look what I lost. I came home late at night just saying something's missing, and not even realizing that my first husband had moved out. All of the degrees and dedication would not bring back that marriage. And I say that honestly because people, when they first get into this business, what do you got to do? And in fact, Dr. Perry, you shared your own story. You said, I'm working very hard. It's not really making me happy. You understood in your own family's history that something has to change. So I started to realize, maybe too late, that this ain't no dress rehearsal. I don't have a spare in the back seat or in the trunk of my car. And I've had some tremendous mentors and muses that said, you know what, be yourself, be genuine, be honest. And that took many, many years of personal self-searching, philosophical change, and confidence to come to.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing the story. And I know how powerful it is to have that balance. And because of the relationships, actually, that was one of the biggest reasons, as you've been reading the book, it's one of the biggest reasons why I wrote the book. Yeah, it's about balance. It's about productivity, but it's about relationships. Mm-hmm. It is all about how do we improve these relationships so that we can have you can have it all, but it's when you get so focused, like Wall Street is, I don't envy you. Like you got started in a really incredibly stressful environment. Talk about stress, right? Talk about lack of the balance when they're, requiring you to be someplace. And even after you close, but the money's good and it keeps you kind of sucked in. You were in this workaholic trap that I describe in the book.
Absolutely.
So, that you had this experience, your husband leaves you. What changes did you make and how has that affected you going forward?
I decided, because of my age, and by the way, it's okay, I'm going to be 70 next year, that I did not want to.
You don't look it, by the way. You don't look it.
Oh,
those that are watching on YouTube, like Keena's fantastic, and does not look 70. You can hear on the podcast. But you know what? Thank you for being here, Keena. It's a pleasure to have you, and you look wonderful.
Oh, thank you. So the age and mortality tables, you said, so what changed? As I changed my life, my attitude, time started clicking. I couldn't turn the clock back. And my personal introspective journey, I said, do you really want to end up like this? I didn't. I was not happy. I had incredible W-2s. I had staff. I had everything that one would want. And then as I started to approach my 60s, I started to really realize I'm not happy. I'm not passionate about what I do, and I'm putting a lot of time and effort into it. And one of the realities was, I'm not going to define myself by someone else's corporate title. I want my name on the door. So what changed? In my 60s, I said, I want to become who I think I am. And I created a business based upon my value system. And I did it in my 60s. It was probably the most challenging, personally racking experience in my life, going into a very young, competitive market. But what changed was I wanted to make the last years of my life meaningful. And every day that I'm here and I'm able to help, have different conversations, be enlightened, such as with yourself, Dr. Perry, that's valuable to me. That is time well spent. So that's what changed. Age.
Yeah. And, there's some truth to this. Experience, age, experience comes with this age, this wisdom that you have. It's one thing to know a principle. It's another to have experienced it and to have lived it. And kudos to you for being able to create the company that you've created so that you can really get after your life and your purpose. I love that. So thank you for sharing. Now, you work with a lot of other advisors. You see them constantly. Again, you're a big influencer here. So, I appreciate the personal story and the personal side and the transformation that you've had. That's incredible. But what do you see with other advisors? What struggles do you see now in the industry? Fast forward right to where we're at. Obviously, we're still in the middle of this COVID fiasco, where the conferences are here and now they're not, right? And I can work from home and I can go back to the office. So wait a minute, vaccines and all this other stuff on top of let's help our clients. The market is up and down. There's lots of different stress going on there for advisors. What do you think are the number 1, 2, maybe 3 main issues that you've seen advisors struggling to find balance in this atmosphere?
Their ability to stay relevant, topical, and top of mind. We live in a hybrid world. Our clients are touching their phone maybe 150 times a day. Even if they are more mature, such as myself, they have grandchildren that have pictures on Instagram, Facebook. And one of the struggles that an advisor would have is being able to maintain a dual world, creating a persona in person, and that you have to do, as well as creating a persona virtually. So a challenge is, how do you do that? Even in my own business, I'm flitting between Facebook, I'm flitting between LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. And some advisors say, you know what, I don't have time for that. Let me share with you. That is the same world your younger customers are in. That is the same world that the biggest wealth transfer is ever going to happen, trillions of dollars. That is the same world that even the older people, if you go into a restaurant, they're on their phone. Many providers are utilizing texting to communicate. Many providers are using automated content to communicate, which an advisor needs to be aware of. Many advisors, and you are very familiar with them, understand the power of algorithms of LinkedIn. So one of the challenges, you need to expand your capabilities as it relates to virtual competencies. In addition, when you are having in-person meetings, rather than just asking about their money, and we're very good at asking their net worth or asking where their money is, start to intersperse feeling questions. Start a conversation with, so how do you feel about what's happening? Be very empathetic. I start to share with people, SMEs to me are sensitive, motivated, empathetic people. They're not just subject matter experts. So developing your listening skills is something we had to learn years ago because all we had was a yellow piece of paper. That was it, a legal pad. But now, due to technology, and that's another thing, be adept at reviewing your tech stack. Is it working for you? If you have 10 different open applications and you're only utilizing 3, then understand the value of what works in your practice. If you, another thing that I've seen as a challenge is understanding customer relationship management. There are many, many firms out there that have content that are integrated in the CRMs. There are many CRMs that can start to create tasks for you so that you're always top of mind and relevant. Make certain that on your calendar is not just an annual review. Reach out to them and start to note important events in their life, whether it's a birthday of a grandchild, whether it's a holiday that they're going on. Call them after they're refreshed after a vacation. So one of the challenges is, yes, get your CFP. Great. Get all of the alphabets that you can. But again, it's not what you know. The old saying is it's not that they care that what you know, it's they need to know that you care. I mean, I didn't make this up, but this is an old adage. And years ago, when I was in Wall Street, my office was in Park and 57th in New York, I would start my conversation with, I don't want to know about your money. I'm going to get that anyway. What did you do over the weekend? So it actually, with all the technology stack out there, you can pick that. There's so many different firms that have social media capability, your profile on social media. But the most important thing that I have found is not being able to have a kind conversation. And wellness, financial wellness, we talked about that at the very beginning, is ask them about their behaviors. Do you stick to a budget? If that answer pops up, yes. What is it earmarked for? Okay. How many dollars are you budgeting for? And start to meet them in their life events, not necessarily wallet share. And that is a whole different conversation. And I think advisors struggle with that, Dr. Perry.
Yeah, that's a big deal, Keena. You really bring that out. Being sensitive, having listening skills. I was an advisor. I became a planner, a fee-based planner. Then I was a financial coach. I kind of progressed through these to try to find out what's the best way to serve my client. And eventually I ended up in the university system where I was teaching new advisors who were wanting to get out and become planners and advisors and coaches. And one of the most important skills that I felt I needed to teach them was listening skills, not speaking skills, listening skills. They can learn the speaking stuff in other places. And I'm taking a speaking course. I'm trying to be a better speaker, but I need to be a better listener. And as advisors, it's this whole behavioral aspect. It's the whole life planning aspect. It's the coaching pieces that are a lot of times are missing from these conversations. You don't have to be a therapist, but being able to have listening skills to really create I call it a transformative process, not just a good experience, because clients don't stay because of good experiences. Clients stay because they've been transformed and they never want to leave you, right? So I love this idea that they need to have more kind conversations. And you're right. We're bombarded with social media, bombarded with tech. What a great tip to, evaluate your tech. Evaluate, is it working for you or are you responding to it all the time? The notifications, I tell all my advisors, turn off all your notifications. Don't be reactive. Be an active part in what you're doing. Use the tools, but don't let them take over your life. So very sage, wisdom here. I appreciate this a lot, Keena. Tell us a little bit about, so you've kind of hinted at it throughout, but how your company actually helps advisors to be more balanced. Talk to us about Lifelogixs.
Thank you for that question. like any business, what Lifelogixs would help them with is assessing their unique value proposition. When you have a business, how do you go to market? It's packaging, your area of differentiation, your area of expertise, your messaging. So Lifelogixs works with individuals and firms to, one, develop a competitive analysis. In our world of advisors, keep in mind, there's the Robin Hoods of the world, there's the Acorns of the world, there's many programs that they download as an app because of the fact that they're on their phones. So in my assessment with an advisor, I ask them questions. What is your competition? Identify your competition, your challenges. The other question I ask, which is the same thing as I would do for a business, for an advisor, identify pain points that your practice resolves. What are you bringing to the table in terms of your client's pain point? You truly need to identify that. The other aspects that I would ask an advisor, like a business, what is your process? And that starts to not only be a technology process, but a communication process. If you have a marketing plan, if that is part of your process to stay relevant to your clients and staying in front, just define that. And then, which we don't like to talk about, is when was the last time you reviewed your fee structure? And, this is a moving target. Because two things are happening. We know what fee structures are because that's disclosed in the ADV. But at the same time, we're in a subscription-based world. So is it time to think about a subscription? And they're used to that. They're used to fixed pricing that has nothing to do with assets under management. So that's another vantage point that I provide to businesses and advisors, is to think about pricing and positioning. And that's very, very important. The other aspect is how are you going to grow your practice? How are you going to grow your business? Is it a matter of adding more technology? Is it a matter of adding more capital in terms of human capital? Is it a matter of really going on a marketing program where you're going to invest in marketing, leverage social media? But you must understand how you're going to grow your business. There's only so many ways to invest $1. And that's another thing. Look at your P&L. Like any business, what is the biggest commitment dollar-wise? And if you had to reinvest that dollar, where would it go? The other aspect, are you getting a return on your investment? Your time, your people, your technology. So that, I believe, is a very important conversation that I would have for advisor. And last but not least, like myself, a contingency plan. Obviously, sickness, you may be disabled. You have worked hard for your business. How does it work without you being there every day? How does it function without you? And how does it function remotely? Because we live in a hybrid world. So that would be the conclusion of my conversation the first time. The second time is we would go back, look at the answers, have a discussion on terms of time and task. I'm a time and task kind of gal. Once we decide what our tactical and strategic plan is, when are we introducing that? Is it Q1 of 2022? How are we going to close out the year in terms of our big ideas? And then we measure those ideas against results throughout the next calendar year. So I always tell people, you cannot, you must inspect what you expect, and you stay with that. So the plan now becomes very a living document and something that can be measurable in very simple terms.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I know it's a living document, but you're really having them look at price, positioning, human capital, Do we add more technology? Do we take away? Do we add more human capital to this whole process? So, I mean, with Lifelogixs, how does that software, how does that suite really help an advisor? Is it to help them with figuring these things out, or is it to help them to deliver financial wellness to their clients, or both? Maybe walk us through that a little bit.
Well, keep in mind, an advisor has many hats to wear, and I don't expect them to do due diligence on all the upcoming technology. One of my fact finding is, once I find out what they're focusing on, I may be looking at 400 different brand new fintech companies that may relate to the message and their business practice, whether it be social media technology, whether it be fact finding, financial wellness technology. But that's another aspect. They're not going to have the time to make certain that that meets all the compliance protocols, all the regulatory protocols. Can they be integrated with their existing stack? And they'll go basically, what else is out there? I mean, they're working a business. They're meeting with clients. They've got long enough days. I'll say, you know what? I just had this technology conversation that I think would be very, very good for your younger customers. It's very app-minded. It's priced well. Quite possibly, you can add it as a add-on in terms of a one-off. That can be added to your virtual persona where you are not meeting these people. And I believe that there's about 147 million of them that you can start marketing to. So that, I think, would be great. What's new? And new technology comes out every day. So I watch that for them, and I'm seeing like, wow, I think this would really be cool in terms of adding value to a practice. So that would be something I would help them with.
Yeah, I like that. So really, you're helping them figure out their tech stack. You're helping them to really understand where they should be working, what programs are going to be the best for their situation. So I love that on your website, you get right to linking technology, practice management, operation, investment ideas to grow your practice. You're all about helping this growth through tech, or maybe taking some of that tech down. What do you see as, advisors who are maybe, these are stereotypically probably RIAs, independents, because most that are at a BD, they've got some compliant, here's your tech stack, you go run with this. But I remember going from the big BD going, yes, oh my goodness, there is a sea of programs to use. What do I use? And that was a daunting task. Mm-hmm. To even before I left, to be able to identify and start using takes time to know. So I really see what you do for advisors as a great, like you said, help them with their wealth stack. This is a wealth of knowledge. Your experience in the industry is incredible, but being able to help them really pinpoint what's the best productive use of their time and find the right software. Nowadays, I think that's a fantastic value, what you provide, and really can help advisors be better balanced, so that they can help, their clients. Because we talked a little bit about financial wellness. We talked about stress. We talked about being out of balance. But I can see now how Lifelogixs and what you do here can really help these advisors to quit wasting time, trying out all these different software tech. I know a lot of advisors, when I ask these questions to them about, hey, what keeps you, up at night, and what keeps you out of being super productive? And it's this research. It's the shiny object syndrome of, oh, there's this new tech thing. There's this new this, because they're showing up every day, like you said. But when I left, this was 15 years ago, Keena, I left and there was still a sea, like that has just continued to produce more and more. And that's not going away anytime soon, is it?
No. And also, you need to become very specialized in the market that you serve. Well, the question is, who do you serve? What is your ideal target market, understand the behaviors of that target market. So if I have a book of business that is averaging between 33, I know from data that I have, research, that many of them do not have a will. Okay. I know that many of that group do not have insurance. All right. I know that many of them feel very stressed out about their financial situation. I need to be in a situation to address this. So once I figure out what my demographics is, and I'm now going to look at their behaviors, what I should be offering as products and services to be impactful. I'm going to look at what that client as a whole is sharing with me. So a lot of consumer reports are showing exactly what's going on. They're also part of a group that do not have the kind of financial literacy that we are giving them credit. So I'm going to address that. So once I identify my market, I'm going to look at the behaviors. I'm going to build a product set around that market. I'm going to stay relevant on content about that market. So I would rather create a practice of specialization built around the audience and persona I serve.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because your tech stack should follow who you're serving and helping them serve that audience. Wonderful. People that are interested, obviously they can go to lifelogixs.com. We'll have that in the show notes. But anything else that you would suggest, something that you might give to this audience, or any other ideas or helpful things that you would like to provide besides, here's the link to the website?
I'll share a fabulous experience that I had. I wanted to grow my practice, and many advisors believe that they should hire someone that has tremendous experience. I will share with you that I contacted a local high school and created my first internship program. Some individuals are not going to college. In fact, parents are spending less and less on college, and really reviewing that solution as, will I get my money back? So one of the things that I would offer, which is nominal, is for an advisor to hire someone that is young, to share with them their experiences, to teach them from the ground up, and review it and consider it as an internship program. Many of them are working hourly. They don't have, 40 hours a week because they have other responsibilities. But what a wonderful gift to serve and bring on board young people that are going to be working side by side for you, that will be loyal to you, and identify with a younger group of customers that you do want to serve that are very tech savvy. And that's another thing that I found when I hired this graduating high school person. They were brilliant in terms of all social media. They knew every program out there, whether it be PDF, Excel, spreadsheets, Word. That kind of brilliance was very valuable to me as an intern. So I would like the advisors to think about that, to bring to their practice and give younger people a chance.
Yeah, what a great comment and admonition for us all, right? To get to that next generation, those that are coming through that maybe aren't going to college, or who just really need a better path. We talked about this at the very beginning, your path to getting here, and it came because of a mentor, right? It became because someone, took you under their wing and helped you through the process. I couldn't agree with you more. I have high school age kids who, the world is different now. Dad, do we go to college? What do we do? Do we work for your business? Do we strike out on our own? And these are questions that are really relevant right now and in the world and environment that we're living in. So thank you, Keena. Thank you for being here. Thanks for helping advisors to have better balance in their life, with your story, with your motivation, but also with Lifelogixs, being able to be a beacon of help to help them figure out their own tech stack and make it work for their business. Thank you for all that you do in the industry. I appreciate you spending some time with us today.
It's an honor and a pleasure. And thank you for all the good work that you do, Dr. Perry.
Absolutely. And we'll be speaking with you soon. Thanks, Keena.